right, so welcome everybody in person and online. This is the second marijuana listening session after our first one about month and a half ago, I think at this point. I'm Melanie Musial, and he's kind of handling another set of issues, I guess I'd say, at OLCC. So for the interim, I am doing his role as interim director of public safety, and I'll have a couple other OLCC staff here today introduce themselves.
Hello, everybody. Shannon Hoffatis. I'm the Director of Marijuana Compliance. Be with you all today.
Mark Smith, Assistant Director of Marijuana Compliance.
I'm Amanda Borup, Director of Education, Health, and Policy.
I think Andy is online too.
Good afternoon, Andy Jurek, Director of Alcohol Compliance.
And Danica is here. I don't know if she's able to say that. There she is.
Sorry. Hi, everyone. Sorry I can't be there in person. Danica Foster, Director of Licensing.
So thank you all for being here, and a bit different from the last listening session where it was kind of just open, like tell us everything, right? And we went around the room and made sure everyone had a chance. This one we're hoping to do a little more focused and pulling from some of the things that you all brought up the last time. And some of those are, and just talk through them a little bit more to see what, because the whole point of this is to hear what you're saying, right, and see if there are any potential rule changes we could do, and what, and you can also hear if there's concerns from our side as well, and we can kind of talk through some of those too. You know, there might be some time at the end to bring up a couple of other things, but we do have an agenda there, and we'll kind of just stay on top of those pieces of it to talk about that. And we'll just use a raising hand method for people who want to speak in the room and online, whoever wants to make a comment. But I wanted to start out with a couple. So Shannon and Mark both have a couple little updates that they wanted to share based on some other things that was brought up at the last listening session.
Yeah, so one of the things that was a topic and we got a lot of questions on, and I know Mark and I had a lot of follow-up questions after the listening session, which was great. We want to encourage that, you know, the inquiries and the questions as they come in about trade samples and sampling. And so one of the things that we have our staff working on is putting together like a Q&A or a worksheet, so to speak, of what is permitted and what is not. And we're taking a lot of questions that we got and doing essentially a questions and answers document that we will be sharing with everybody once it's finalized and completed. So if you have not asked questions and you are curious about trade samples, we're trying to get as many of those questions asked and answered so that we are sure that our sheet is as complete as possible. So that's one of the things that we're working on. Mark, did you have anything that you wanted to add to that?
Not to that.
Okay. And then I have another topic that I wanted to talk about is the trade. The new rule went into effect January 1st. And it's not an issue, it's the process that we want to talk about. Marissa and her team put together the first marijuana trade show, and with her, and I just wanted to talk about how much I appreciated the collaboration because it's the first trade show in camp. And as we moved from the paper ages to the electronic ages with trade show applications, we wanted to be sure the process worked really well for you all as well as for us. And so Marissa has been very instrumental in helping us understand where she was coming from with what makes things easier for her, as well as making sure OLCC is meeting their guidelines in terms of like following the rules and making sure everything is succinct with where we need to be at in the process. So Marissa, I just wanted to thank you for that. It took a lot of time, I know, on your side to meet with us, but I feel like at the very end of this, we have a good product that we're able to make it easier for folks in the future, especially yourself. So thank you.
Yeah, I learned a lot. I like even just some of the stuff that we need to do on the internal end will be a lot easier next time.
Good.
Tracking people.
So thank you.
Yeah. So that is all I have. Mark.
I just had a couple of small updates. I feel like, does anyone remember the $0 wholesale transfer discussion from last time? So I looked into this with my staff. It turns out that this isn't in rule. This is like a best practice recommendation apparently document that was out, I think long before my time here. And so what we've updated our wiki, and you guys can find that at wiki, WIKI-OR metric, METRC.com. And under transfers, there's wiki has all the information for what you need on technical aspects of working your way through metric. But then we've just added a line there and some explanation that that's not required. So if you leave a dollar amount in there, it's not required. So that was one. The other one was, I don't know if anyone in the room, I was sidebarred afterwards about potential violation notices that people have been receiving via email. And the scenario that was presented to me was when we call and ask for help. So say, I mean, you guys have all seen these tags. There's like 870 different characters in it, and it's probably really easy to fat finger one or two of those numbers when you're entering them in manually. And what we've discovered is over the years, there's been, maybe at the lab or something, somebody fat fingers a number and then they have to call my staff and then my staff will help correct that. The process for us, because of the way metric is designed, is sort of key. So typically that means that even though your products are legal, they've been tested, and everything's passed, it was causing us to have to basically place those. We would have to replace the tag with a different tag, and it was like in the system, it would trigger this email that would then ride with your product. So that when you get to the retail side and you're trying to sell your product to retailers getting an email that says potential violation. And the way it was put to me was that half the time these conversations are over right there. So I can't sell my product. It's almost like having a branded title on a car. And so I heard that and I worked with my staff, and on this particular path, we still feel like if your products have not been tested correctly, that the violation notice should be there. So that's still going to be a thing. But on this particular path where we have upstream helped to correct an issue, this potential violation notice shouldn't continue to occur. So you shouldn't be punished for calling us and asking for help, and having us help and then have like this happen to your products. Now, I want to be very careful here. It's just on that particular. So if you're experiencing that, the process is sort of clunky. It's kind of hard to explain how it works, but the way that we have to do it to fix it, it could still happen. And if that does happen, just reach out to me, and we can try to work, or me and my team, and we'll try to work through that. But we are working on a fix for that. I think that's all I have.
Okay, great. Thank you. So after that, we'll move on to agenda here. The first one, and what we tried to do for this was to there's a lot of different things that you all brought up last time, appreciate all that. And for this one, we were trying to pull together some of the pieces for some of the things that were brought up that were more, maybe a couple people had said, or we thought maybe we could try to work on that. So that's why these were chosen, just if you're wondering why. So the first one is inventory reconciliation. And what we heard when we were talking last time is that there was requests to have more time to reconcile the products when they were being transferred, that there would be it was a lot to try to do that within the allotted time period that's currently under rule. Does that sound familiar to people from the last time here? Okay, so let's just start with if we were to do some there's a couple different rules that can affect this, but I think the first question is are there specific license types that would like to have some kind of change in this amount of time? Are there certain licenses that affect more than others, or is it kind of across the board?
From a retailer's point, when the stuff comes in, you have to count everything when it's there with the person that's delivering it. It could be many pieces. I mean, it depends what you're talking about, but up to 1,000.
Okay.
Which could take a long time to count, right? And they're responsible for counting all those. I maybe like a button that would say it's there and give us a little time to count it all, and then. But I understand the rule because you want the other person there in case there's a discrepancy. So it's
Yeah.
probably a catch-22 on something like that. But I understand why the change.
And what is your name?
My name's Rachel Jones. I own Club Sky High and Sky High Farms.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to see their names too, and they want to share where they work. I think
And,
Shannon.
yeah, and the reason being is, we're all taking notes, and if we have questions like after this meeting and we want to follow up with who was asking the questions, then that gives us the ability to do that. So thank you.
Sure.
Anybody else?
A couple times, I don't know if this is exactly the inventory reconciliation you're talking about, but for farms, I have a couple times had the 45-day window of harvest into packaging with having just, having a small farm. Sometimes I'm just not ready to put it all together. It's actually hurting my product by having to, if it's not perfectly trimmed up and ready for sale in the 45 days, even so for that 60 days would be nice. I don't know if other farms feel like.
I agree.
I mean,
I agree.
it's like million product.
I get that notice all the time.
It's because it's like in the winter stuff dries a little bit longer and sometimes it's faster too, though. It's just, yeah, it's hard to work agriculture by a spreadsheet. It's really sometimes, but however that can work, and I understand you guys have your concerns.
Yeah. So you're saying the amount that can you remember, but I think this is a little bit different, but I want to hear what you're saying. So it was a 45-day you're talking about a 45-day window too?
Yeah, so we log our harvest when we hang it. And then we are supposed, in 45 days, we have to have each one of those into a package, but we can't put them into separate packages. Or if we put them into separate packages, we have to get them tested under separate packs, which would cost twice the money. So we want to trim it all down and put it into one bin rather than have some hanging for whatever. Does that make sense?
I think so. And were you saying something like you want, even if it was increased, would you want like a time increase, are you asking for, or more of like a different way of doing it? So we're understanding what you're.
I haven't thought about it, but time increase would be helpful because it's like, I think, yeah, you deal with that too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. It takes, because like sometimes like it just takes longer than 45 days to close out a harvest sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your name again?
The Eastwood.
Okay. And then,
Jason with State 3.
so would you want, you're both saying a longer time period,
Oh, yeah, like 60 days. at
like
least.
60 days? Okay.
Yeah.
At least, okay.
Mhm.
Anybody else have any other comments on?
Or at least like the length of the crop, really, like, so it's like, from 63 to 70 days,
Okay.
It
It's like 70 would be,
would be appropriate for sure.
okay.
Being up to?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's up to 45 right now. Which is up to 70.
And we run our, like you guys do cycles as well. So we'll run it, like we'll do 60 days on veg, 60 days on flower, and then we got 45 days. It's just kind of, it's hard to like breed stuff up sometimes when it's plants and growing.
Do you have your hand raised, Phil?
Yes,
Okay.
Stefan from the CDC dispensary. I think, it was London who mentioned this, and, from a dispensary viewpoint, it's 8 AM the next day, you've got to have all of your inventory certified.
Mhm.
I can't really speak to the intake side. We typically don't have that problem being a single store. Comes to simple retail, we'll get lots of 100 objects, and one unit was maybe returned, it's behind the box, it's missing. And I'm finding that 9 times out of 10, we find that product. It was either, in the wrong box, it was a return, it was something. And so knowing that, we need 100% correct inventory, I operate on, we'll find it when we find it, when it's one of 100 objects. Now, when I'm finding 3 and 5 things, that there is some type of discrepancy from what's in metric versus what's on site on the premises, that's when I'll go into a mode of looking for them and certain that it's there. I know that this was largely in place to keep from diversion, but 3 cartridges missing from a 100 cartridge box. I have to take some of this with a grain of salt in our end, and it's just like, no, we're not going to spend from 10 o'clock when we close to midnight looking for 3 cartridges. So I notate it, and then I go back to it periodically. And we don't do audits like a regular retail organization would do, of like, quarterly or monthly or whatever. We just don't, because it's a consistent, all the time running audit of everything. So when something is missing 3%, that's when I'll go and look and start counting, moving things around. Because most of it is correct, close to 100%. And when it's 3%, I'm like, look, I'm not paying somebody potentially overtime to find 3 cartridges. So it's not that I'm asking for something. I was trying to put a little bit of concept as to where this is for us and the level of scrutiny and how comfortable we are with not having 100% by 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. And going off of that, there was some talk about maybe, last time there was an ask of maybe increasing that time or giving more time with, if we could do something where we give more time, what would be, thinking about concerns about making sure we have enough time to do that, but what would be an increase in time that you think would be reasonable to be able to get those counts down?
For me, it's not so much about a time as it is about percent. So, if 10% of something of ours is either missing or we have too much, I go, that's a mistake, either at the POS, at the personnel level, where we're placing things. But when, again, it starts approaching 3 and 5% is when my eyes are on it. And so in some ways, it might just be that, we know that the inspectors aren't going to come and go, okay, well, you said you had 100 of these, I see 97 of them, and now you're getting a violation. So really, it's both more of best practice that's on our own side to go, oh, look, these are marked as a different product and selling at the wrong price, versus, which is any of the larger ones, it's typically what it is, as opposed to, we didn't count these when we got them, or someone stealing from us and selling it on the street. It's really, this was misplaced or mismarked.
I think from the retailers view, a lot of our inventory discrepancy comes from the returns of the customers. It drags our inventory on for days with these ones. In order for us to get credit from them, we got to go back and forth. But for me, I would say if we could do the returns some different way, it would help the retailers terribly with their inventory.
Like a return from a customer, you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
Because we normally hold it, which means we have to put it back in the inventory as a return until they come and credit it, then we got to retake it out. Yeah,
Production event.
yeah, it's a process.
Yeah, can you say your name?
Hey, I'm Tom from Our Cultures. To answer directly the questions that you asked, I would say any license type that receives product in any way, any intake, would need more time, because if we take in the metal license type, something at 5 p.m. and we have lives and something's going on that night, maybe our kid got a recital or something, like, do I want to have that done by 8 a.m. the next day? Can I not just come in the next morning and have it done? Maybe I should have a 24-hour period. Maybe I should have till the end of the next day. I know you talked about it, so maybe you should comment on it, because I think you have a lot to say.
Yeah, thank you. I think for wholesalers and processors, even more time, just because of the volume of products, a single package would take a very long time to verify.
At least 3 days.
I feel like we've heard more like 3 to 5 days.
Yeah.
Is the request, and maybe it is a bifurcation between license types based on volume.
Marissa will have the incoming manifests that come on pallets, that just, it's not as simple as opening up a bag and counting the 7 things inside,
Yeah, with hundreds of pounds or, tens of thousands of units, that need to be verified before we click receive. I've mentioned also, I love your button. In my mind, I call it purgatory, click this purgatory button, right? Of like, it's here. Somebody brought something to me, but now I have this time, this wiggle room of time to make sure that it actually is what they said it was.
So like accepting it, but then the count, like something like I accept it and then the take time to count it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just say the context from the processor, it comes from the farmer or wholesaler tagged a certain way. One tag could be a half an ounce, one tag could be 30 pounds. And we're supposed to reconcile these into the same part. So having to officially weigh a tagged content, open it up, weigh it, make sure it is, verify that tag is the correct weight, and then go on to the next one.
It's price of doing business, we're all used to it, but those things are not uniform anyway.
And I would say that some of the timeframe is, trying to identify what the situation was it not made correct, was it not counted correct? Was the incorrect tag put on there? Sometimes, by way of not wanting to report incorrectly, it would increase the time frame. If you're gonna simply say, well, this was lost or this was stolen, I mean, that opens up a whole new avenues of reporting and requirements when you may not even know.
And it's like, we're trying, it's everything, we're trying to balance business needs versus like compliance and making sure like combating diversion, right? And so what's that, is there where we could come and kind of meet in the middle or something like that and try to hear what you guys are saying on that time period, what you want, and then if there's something we could do to lengthen it, or maybe it's based on volume or something like that to try to. And then if there's anyone, I'm gonna move on to the next topic so we can keep moving here, but then anyone online, if you guys have anything to say too, you can just raise your hand and then we'll make sure to call on you for the topic. But, so moving on to the next one is transfer. These transfer manifest. Okay, yeah, okay. So transfer manifest, there was a lot of different comments about what that we're noting about what was said in the last one. These kind of included ability to have digital manifests, changing vehicles during transport, editing those. Curve rule requires a paper manifest that can be updated, but must be printed after the update to represent the inventory of the vehicles. And we don't currently allow for transport here. So I wanted to get some time here to talk a little bit more about, again, what would you want in your perfect world? What would you want to see changed in this? Any idea of the transfer manifest?
Just digital.
Yeah, we had to wait. Over a 3-year period, we had over 5,000 pounds of paper we had to print out because we had to do one for them, one for us.
It's just it's a way to
Costco back and forth, like that's a lot of poundage of just paper based. And again, we're growing every year, so next year is gonna be more paper than it was this year. Nothing uniform, it's a lot of just waste.
It's redundant, it's already there in the differences.
But it also goes back to my house, I literally have a garage and a basement full, you have to hold it for 7 years of their business stuff, so I have it in my personal, thing for 11 years worth of stuff, you can get rid of 7, so I have close to a ton, if not metric ton, in my basement paper that I have to hold them up to be purchased.
When you're thinking about something digital, how would you envision that working? Right, if you're thinking digital, would just be, where would you think this could be viewable? How would you?
That's already PDF, put it in your Apple Wallet or something.
Well, that's what I'm saying, like, it's not metric, right? But the idea is when, again, for your driver's safety, for if law enforcement gets stopped, you want to be able to have a tool where you can show the law enforcement, hey, this is there. I was just wondering, is it always going to be on people's phones? Is that something that, is that something that you guys have with do your drivers have those on their phone? Like what, I'm just trying to think through how would this work?
I think one of the concerns that we've heard from OLCC in the past is what happens if you're driving through the middle of Eastern Oregon, you don't have cell reception. Well, I mean, you can get a PDF and put it on the phone beforehand. I mean, to add to what Peter said, if I'm printing something out and I have people that work for me and people make mistakes. And I may have like a 15-page manifest that, well, one of those tags was the wrong tag. Sorry, we got to go reprint that whole thing again. That happens multiple times every day. So it's not just what we're having to say, more print all those mistakes as well. I don't know, it's just, it seems to me in the digital day and age that with everybody having a device, whether it's a laptop or a phone or a tablet, everybody, the person we has one. Why can't they just have a PDF on their phone, wherever they want, they can pull it up, they know how to use the device, as long as they can show law enforcement, here's my manifest, scroll through it, find the tag, see it matches. Why does it have to be on paper?
No one goes more than one day a week without a phone.
Or
No.
why can't law enforcement have access, like the one access code for law enforcement to look at and press that?
I just have a very nice question. What do you all do with the alcohol? Do they have the same?
What manifest do they do?
I'm just wondering, because
They come
my
in.
standpoint, how law enforcement, I know it goes on like Movita's trucks and things like that, so I'm just, how does it go about verifying that this amount of bottles is in there versus this on an invoice versus it's tracking going to the right distribution hub or something else, so I don't know what solution is, but if you're already doing it one way, would it seem simpler to use the same solution?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how.
You can help.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
you don't have to pause.
No.
Just like,
that's why you were frozen, like.
yeah.
I would say also keep it, the paper manifest is fine. Also, if you are going to East Oregon and you feel like you're gonna be on a subdivision collection, yeah, an optional, like.
Optionals, yeah, make
It's like-
whatever you want, but
There's times when I, like, my local deliveries are just really quick and it's just easier to print it up when they want it. But like you were saying, that when I have a larger delivery and then they take some, don't want some, and then I have to reprint that, sit at someone's desk, it's an awkward situation.
here's the thing, they already have it, because they just click on transfer, view
totally.
manifest. It's already there, this already exists.
Yeah, yeah. I guess it did, if you print it right there.
For us, it's just a lot of it goes to say a delivery service. We don't actually have them that's going to say Eastern Oregon School Delivery through a delivery service. We don't have, they're gonna reprint it and have to do another one just for that and going. So it's double or triple almost any time for every single thing. Not everybody here delivers all their stuff. They just don't. So it's compounding effects. That's what we're saying.
I mean, with AI could code this in like a second and I would. Even,
They already have a number, every manifest has.
When it's not about, and so just like, it's about the whole, what do you, we want to make sure that we have something that works that also is. And I hear what you're saying about the digital, but just, like you're out there, somebody loses reception or their phone loses power. I mean, there's other things that happen, right? And then you have a driver potentially out there without any way to show that this is what it is. Like, I think that those are but what if I just think there's these pieces that we're trying to think through because then you're gonna be in this sticky situation of not being out, not having your phone's not working anymore, or it's not powering up, right? And that's just kind of, again, hearing from our side of things, what some of our concerns are.
I just want to ask the question, because I know this might not seem, we might have been like metric 101 a long time ago, but it's never been answered. I've had this asked by our employees. Each one of those tags is a kind of a remote frequency device on it, right? Like those things are transmitting even if you're in no, so like law enforcement should be able to have something to read the remote thing on a tag that could verify this is a valid tag for the state of Oregon.
Yeah.
They're not like,
I'm just saying, like, we have those, we pay for them for a purpose to track these things so that we're not doing diversion. These things aren't going to, they are being tracked at all times, aren't they?
No,
Not at all times.
you, maybe the way it sounds, it's like you're kind of acting like it's an Apple AirTag for each one. It's not that way.
Okay.
No, it's not that way. It's really more of an item that's there to be picked up by our scanners. So when we come through, like, we have the scanners that are designed for metric that are supposed to correlate, so the inspectors can actually walk through a field supposedly and do this, but then we've learned that even has issues, like if a tag is in the dirt, it won't pick it up half the time. So they're not like 100% in that way, but it is a good idea, like if law enforcement had like the same scan tool, like just go to your car, but I mean, that's not gonna be 100%, especially if there's gonna be all kinds of interference. It just doesn't work that way.
It's to make you think we have a cheaper tag then that we don't pay as much for if it's not being utilized for that purpose. 'Cause
It's for the ones that come into the store, and if they want the tag, or
Oh.
if something's recalled or something, and they have to come into your top store and get it, they'll want that exact tag. The people will be, will do inventory looking for.
It'd be sweet if it worked the way you're talking
Yeah.
about. That would
That's not true. Yeah, I
Yeah, no, that would be cool.
So one of the key points of this is kind of what is the point of truth, what matters, and being a small retailer, maybe this doesn't apply to others, but I direct my staff to utilize the manifest in metric rather than the paper one that was printed, because we've had at least one or three instances which they were different, and maybe they were updated, maybe they changed. And so for us, and I'm not certain that my buyers do this so much, but I always say, if you're looking at the manifest in metric while you're doing this, then you're guaranteed to have the source of truth being what the state thinks we have is what we need to have based on what they have in their system, not on something that might be 3 days old and not represent the actual numbers, quantities, tag numbers, that.
Yeah.
We kind of already do that in an electronic way instead of the paper. I feel like the paper is a backup, and for us, it's largely, we don't need that sheet of paper. I don't think if we did, we could print it 1 and 5 times we needed it. even that amount.
And so what I'm hearing is, even if you don't have coverage, you could do a PDF of it, like,
Yeah, print, I mean, you said.
Is the only reason for the paper is if you get pulled over?
I think, yeah.
Oh.
I think it's a big, I don't think, I think it's a big part, right? So
It's probably insurance. I've never once been asked. I've been pulled over with manifest.
Yeah.
I've never been asked.
Hold on.
Yeah, no, dude, you're there.
We're just coming up with an answer right here. There's probably a lot more if we look
Okay,
at the
so
rule.
the easiest solution is like, instead of print the paper, you print the PDF. Everybody, like, I'm assuming people know how to use the devices and to store that PDF where you can access it without having to have signal. And then you leave it up to, and you leave it up to the private sector, people that know how to design software to come up with more elegant solutions that they can then sell to licensees and have a better solution than just printing the PDF. There are more simple ways that if you can allow us to have it digitally, leave it up to us to figure out how best to do that, stay compliant. You don't have to tell us how to do that. You just have to say, we have to have it available at the time in a digital format instead on paper. Let us figure out the rest. That's what we do.
what I think of other, again, talking about the concerns, like the editability, if I'm saying that right, of like something digital versus when it's paper, right, it's harder to change. If it's a paper thing versus if it's digital, it could be edited, it could be changed. What do you guys think about that?
No,
Is there,
I don't think that argument's valid because I can print out a document and then change the manifest a minute later.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm sorry, I understand what you're saying, but it just doesn't.
I just want to, yeah, this, and I don't want to, I'm just trying to kind of like get to the point like where
But also,
do you guys, yeah, what are we looking at?
well, but also like you were saying earlier, it's like, say you realize something halfway through it and you already got it out there. Well, you can make the change in real time anyway,
Mhm.
online. So it's like, it really makes things more compliant. The paper is just ridiculous. And now it's like really clear that if it's just a hand to a cop, we don't, that's not, I don't think that's even an issue. I don't even think it doesn't even make sense. We'd already be.
And just to remind ourselves, we're talking about a framework that was built 10 years ago. and part of the-
Yeah, you just gotta redo a couple
We
things.
need to
'Cause
re-
this is
And
just-
some of it's gonna have to be done statutorily, and I think appreciate you guys leaning in to figure out what you can do.
I was just gonna say, I think we're just trying to understand the ask. We have to go back and research and make sure that we're not gonna run awry of a statute or something like that too. But you're making a very good point.
My other question would be, is if you had a PDF electronically, how would you refuse? Like, isn't there a signature on the,
It's a metric. You don't accept it on the paper.
it's in,
Accept it.
And that's just our proof
You-
somebody.
yeah.
The only signature is the signature of the transporter. That's it.
all right.
You may run into
That's what I'm
problems with
thinking about.
your employees, that is a good check for employees, and what I could say, but as far as just having it
so?
printed out. Well, they use, in the beginning, I should say 5 years ago, it was good, but it just depends how big your business is, I guess I should say. For the paper to be significant as far as when they bring it back to, I mean, I don't know, that's me as a owner, that's what I think.
I think so. I think a solution, if it's possible, is you can either have a PDF saved on digitally or a piece of paper with you, which you must always have. That's a simple way to put it. I like what you said.
Yeah, let us
What
figure
do we
out.
need, what, that meets what you guys need and it pieces it up for us. Is you must have a piece of paper or a piece of
They're signing online, is that what you're saying? Because pretty much the manifests were for signatures as well, acknowledging that that person is accepting what's.
But it has to.
And I have to work on this particular issue, a judge, when they see a manifest that has accepted, it's all in there. They don't care about the signature. It's like, if the legal document was accepted. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the button pushing that matters.
In case.
You're talking about the button pushing a metric?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, I think I want to add to this, though. If we're talking about this, like, to also be able to edit in real time. I mean, I think the example I used when we talked about this a few weeks ago is, a driver gets hung up, it takes longer at every stop than they thought it was going to. And then by the time they're getting to their last stop on the Central Coast, the person who can receive is not there anymore. but they're gonna be there tomorrow morning and our driver's already scheduled to do an overnight, like. Let us just update the manifest, right? So that we're being transparent about what's happening in real time.
What happens if you accept it late? I'm just curious, but I'm just,
Potential violation.
right, if I just accept it, I just accept it and just keep
Yeah.
moving, I think most
I
of the
mean,
time, like, I don't like church just stuff, I mean, you know what I mean? Like you say, so what, you accepted it 2 hours late, that's, you got accepted it.
Well, I'm delivering to a customer, I don't want them, I don't want.
No, I'm
my
just curious,
customer-
what happens, like,
Yeah.
hey, what's the,
Nothing.
yeah.
well,
So that's what I'm just saying, I gotta just sit and go.
And I'm gonna jump in here a little bit, bring it back. So can I go back to edit? So if there would be a way to edit it, if you're editing, would there be a way to keep track of what those edits are? So that it could be, that we're, is there a way to keep, like, I'm thinking about how do we track those, the ability, if you're wanting the ability to edit, how would we track those edits?
That's a question.
Yeah.
Well, there's already a tab for history. You know, it tracks every move already in the history of what has been done.
Yeah, can you void them?
You know, if there's edited this date and time by this user, it seems pretty simple.
Is that something that could be pulled up? Like, let's say, is that something that's easily accessible, that history of the editing?
I think that it tracks everyone's you make, even if you void it, it puts it in the unused ones or something.
And then each item there, so you pull down and there's a history section, it shows you every move that's made in metrics. So
And by who made the move,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
and what time, and what date.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, that exists. It's in the history of each item.
If,
Yeah.
object has been shopped, as they're allowed to do through, I can see, okay, they went over there, they didn't want it, they didn't want it, they didn't want it. And then I can see everywhere that product's been, even though it's really not my business, but I can see that in the history.
Thank you guys. Anything else on manifest? And you guys want us to consider or think about for change? I'm hearing, digital, some form of digital thing, a PDF and some ability to potentially edit it.
Yeah, I have one more question on it. And it's maybe for a small subset, but like the fact that it's not required to enter in a price point under a wholesale manifest is great, and it solves 99.9% of the problems. But there are still some dispensaries that are going to require that we use wholesale manifest and have that price point in there. And we cannot put a $0 value, which is the appropriate and gap compliant value for a trade sample. We still can't do that.
I
And that's a
just tested it
limitation
to
that's
make
because
sure.
of metric, not because of OLCC. So it'd be great for us to have the potential or the ability to put in a $0 value to maintain gap compliance for accounting.
You just pay tax on top of it? Taking time to do.
Anything else on manifest here that we should be considering?
Well, I was thinking about the directions that we have to put in all these manifests.
That's the GPS
I
route.
got rid of it.
You got to put Google Maps that's been
Oh.
3 years.
Jeez. Okay.
Well, there you go.
Value added.
On then to package tag.
I have a question online.
Oh,
Did
you have
get
one.
that?
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
The person online is, the name starts with Utah.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, right on. So with the manifest and whatnot, it's not directly correlated to the manifest, but I brought this up on the last listening session, that when we're transferring in metric, with our packages, like as for me, I'm a producer, so I mostly sell flour. So when I'm transferring something or I'm creating a package, and it says submit it or either test passed or not tested, if there's a way to have that color coordinated like a red or a green, so that when we're transferring those things, like accidentally, if I can give you an example, I used this last time, but just to kind of bring back, so if I have I think I used Blue Dream flour, and then I have Blue Dream trim as a tag as well, I don't normally test my trim because I give it to an extractor who then has that tested. So occasionally those most of the time those packages start one next to each other. So it's easily, it kind of happens every once in a while where you select the trim package instead of the flower package to send over to a dispensary. And if it could just like stop that from happening and say, hey, this is not a tested product, you can't send it, that would also, I'm guessing, change a lot on the dispensary side of things of accidentally accepting a non-tested product.
So is that can you help me understand, is that in the, like, is that on a manifest or is that a part of, is it a CTS, like something that's being tracked?
So it would be a metric situation, but it would stop in the, like, it's kind of correlated to a manifest, as well, because it wouldn't allow that manifest or that package to be even put on the manifest. It would kind of pop up and, kind of let you know, hey, you're trying to send an untested package.
Is that what, so you're, and I want to make sure I understand what you're asking, is you're asking for something to be like, something added into metric or something in Melody, but it's not based on like a rule requirement.
Yeah, it's mostly just like a metric, just to let people know, because I hear constantly like people accidentally accepting in their, accepting an untested package because, they actually accidentally created a package that, that wasn't tested.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, where he's coming from, I would say 85% of our potential violation notices come from this exact issue right here. That wasn't tested, that was remediated, and typically it was just they didn't upload the test results. Or in his case, like he's describing, it wasn't for us, even though it was we got the Blue Dream buds, not the shake. And so often they used to have to contact you guys and go, hey, listen, this is what happened. But if Metric could just stop that and say, hey, look, you're trying to manifest something that hasn't been tested, then maybe, oh, yes, it has. Let me attach the test results, or wow, that's the wrong package. It's the shake, not the buds, or vice versa. So yeah, I would say the bulk of our potential violations were not even on our end. It was maybe it got messed up and confused with one product or another, or simply a document doesn't exist in the system, but taking less time, they'll furnish it to us 5 minutes later. I'll call and be like, hey, what's up with this? And they're like, oh, shoot, yeah, we got to upload the test results, or click the button that says that, So it's a very much an administrative thing that could be stopped with a technical solution that I think a lot of people are chasing their tails around because it was a simple administrative mistake, not, oh, wow, we totally forgot to test this weed and now it's at your store.
Okay.
That's not what's happening.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
No.
No, okay. Appreciate all the information about the transfer manifest and talking about what you guys are looking for. It is helpful for us to understand exactly what you guys are asking, and also it's balancing what the kind of compliance issues we're trying to deal with on the other side too. So appreciate all that from you all. Moving on to the next one, the package tags. There was some questions about ability to do photocopying or putting them in multiple bins. Shannon, do you want to talk about that one? Or,
I mean, we can talk about, like, there was a question that came up about putting them in multiple bins. And so one of the things we did meet with the marijuana managers throughout the state, and one thing that they are allowing is if, say you have 5 bins under one tag, we're letting you photocopy those tags if it's in the same, that all of those bins belong to the same tag, and simply saying 1 of 5, 2 of 5, 3 of 5, 4 of 5, 5 of 5. So we are doing that, but the caveat to that is they need to be grouped together because we can't electronically find them with the RFID readers. It's a convenience to you that we are permitting so that you can, bundle them in packages so that you can move them around. But yes, we are allowing photocopies of tags to help you manage your inventory. And I would say that that's safe to say at all license types, because we've seen that at retailers as well. So And I just want to make sure that there's no issues with that, or if you've been told something different, please tell me and we will get it
It's
straightened
news to
out.
us, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last we heard was that's not allowed. Yeah.
Okay,
As long as they're together, so we don't wanna be like having them in multiple places, right, as long as they're kept together in one space.
Can you put that out in the bulletin, please? Because previous guidance was that you can't do
all right. So when you say previous guidance, where, I just want to know, like, where did you hear that from?
that. It was like 2018.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it was a
Do
long
not do
time
that.
ago.
We each got bigger bins.
We were doing-
All the Finished goods into a bin size that we could put either split the RFID tags that are in number two and put them on that, or we have like let's set up.
But
Massive amounts of bins together, just make it like one continuous pack. I mean, it was ridiculous. Yeah, like we try our best to stay compliant, but it's really it's splitting one thing into multiple so we can fit in multiple bins versus saying in metric, we should have one bulk thing we can pull from and do. But
Yeah.
because they're different bins, they're now the same bulk.
it's because they have the tags. That's why, yeah.
So we were a long
I
time
mean,
ago.
right? They
Doing
should
it
have
the way
changed
you're
that to just
suggesting
tags
now.
for sure.
And then I think there was actually a bulletin. I mean, I got a verbal warning.
Okay.
You know, like probably. in,
We
like,
will make sure
2018.
that there is consistent messaging on this. Because to me, I feel, so I'm just, with my compliance hat on, I'm gonna talk about both sides here. So to me, why is it any different, you putting tape around it versus having photocopies, 1 of 2, or 1 of 5, 2 of 5, 3 of 5, 4 of 5, 5 of 5?
We don't know what it was. It was
So there's that. So this is why these are really good, because I get to hear things like we get to hear things like this, and we can, work on this. But I will say the opposite of that is we have gone to where all there are photocopies, no primary tag, no blue tag, no real metric tag, and the whole place is photocopies of tags that can't be tied to anything. And it's
It's a non-compliant.
it's a very non-compliant location, but so in the situation where there's photocopies and the primary tag is definitely associated to those other 5 bins, that would be fine, but we come across locations that they ghost tag and the tags do not correlate at all. In fact, the tag is like 3 years old from what we can see, and they're just very non-compliant. So that's the difference in the photocopies.
But we can definitely hearing that you guys were not, that there was different information, we can work on trying to put out something to clarify that and.
Yeah, we'll
what
look,
we're saying,
yeah, we'll look at the old bulletin. The biggest thing is, if we come out and we're doing an inspection, just make sure the inventory is, justified and it's easily explainable, like 1 of 5, for example. That's what we talked to all the managers about it, and everybody was pretty consistent about what they have been enforcing and seeing, so.
Is there an upper limit in terms of 1 of 5? It's kind of 5 happens to be this example, but
I don't know, I mean, so I can tell you that we don't have anything in rule.
How many totes can you stack up?
That's right. That's what I'm wondering. Yeah.
And make sure it should match up, right, that if you have a certain amount.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks. I'll join it online.
And I see a hand up maybe, or is that the one from before?
From before.
From before, okay, sorry.
this is a big deal. Thank you. That clarity is
I
good.
just appreciate the clarity. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there any other, like, because this was a specific question that brought up, we wanted to address it, but is there anything else about package tags or anything that you guys want to tell us about or share involving that?
I guess I would just add, for example, we buy the magic number drinks and we buy a bunch of them at once to, because it makes sense. We've got a refrigerator. We've got below there where they go, we've got a little slide for the customers to see, like you see at the 7-Eleven or whatever, so they're in a row, and then we'll have a backstop. Typically, we look at the refrigerator as that's the small tag. Big tag will go with 1 to 3 boxes that came from the distributor. And while normally what we'll do is if the product is the same and it's all being stored in one, we will rubber band them, tape them, make it look very clear that these all belong together. With these drinks, it's a little bit of a different deal because you're dealing with you want it cold, you want it displayed, you want backstop. And in the past, we've just kind of put them in the order and we said, listen, if it's a part of that blue raz, then that's the little tag for it. And the way that it's being described here is that, you know, each of my boxes can have a photocopy. But with those 4 that didn't fit in the slide that's for display, I leave them at the bottom, I rubber band them together, and then the idea being that, look, that blue tag at the back of that represents all of the blue raz that is in this refrigerator. Whereas the backstock has the big tag, and there might be 2 or 3 boxes, but only the blue tag, but they're, you know, bundled together to make it clear. It's, yeah, and I'm like, well, you know, I think I would rather have a photocopy and be in trouble for that than for, and not, what's more is it works for our own organization. It's like, we want to know how many is in each place, you know, so many of the goals of the regulator and the retailer in my case are the same. Like, I don't want to be missing product every morning at 8 o'clock. I don't want to have tags and confusion. That's a lot of labor to figure out, wait a minute, you guys put the wrong tag with the wrong thing. So we've been kind of focusing on just, let's try to make it make sense. And if the inspector comes in here, we can easily go, those and those, all the same flavor. That's this small tag, this big tag with this 3 pile of boxes that is rubber band together.
So I think that was another example of where the photocopies came into play. So you have your bundle of product, right? But you don't want to put everything out. So this would be kind of the same example that you're showing with the refrigerator. You don't want to put all your product out. So the example is you'd have a photocopy with the product that was out, and then the main tag would remain so that you can easily, okay, we're putting this back in for the night. This goes back with the main. Same with the refrigerated items, correct?
And the little blue tag is, you know, with those,
Yes.
but there might be 3 that couldn't fit in that slide, and they're like, well, I rubber band them together with the recognition that those belong to that little tag, which belongs to the big tag in the back.
And so that was another example of our folks saying that they were allowing and that photocopies were okay.
Because if I can put a photocopy on those 3 on the bottom, I'll do it. It just makes our job easier.
Yes, and so one of the takeaways for us is we're gonna go back, we're gonna look at the previous guidance, what it was, and then we'll get clarification out to everybody on this topic.
It seems like if somebody can demonstrate that they have all of the inventory for that tag, that should be enough.
I was just gonna make a comment along those lines, like, as a former inspector, like. There's some common sense that needs to be applied here, like, if you have a photocopy of the tag, but you can't find the tag or the rest of the product, then it's probably gonna be a big problem. But I mean, every time I've ever seen this, it's exactly the scenario you're describing, sir, like, it's like, well, I can't fit this entire case of pre-rolls underneath the glass, like, it's just not feasible.
And if I were a retailer, I would want the actual real blue tag back in my stock room.
Yeah.
And only have as few products as I can get away with or can have in display. But it really should only take a minute to show an inspector this can goes with that case, like.
And I think it kind of helps too, like if we come in and we have questions, if you plug that photocopy of the tag number in, as long as it matches the product that photocopy is with.
Yeah.
So we have come across where, again, photocopies is like a completely different product than what is actually on there. So that's where there's gonna be issues. So.
We fired that guy. We
Okay, we have looks like we have a comment online, Jackson.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, I just wanted to comment on, as far as like the photocopying, a lot of this products that we stock to the floor, I'm with Natural Wonders Dispensary. A lot of the products we stock to the floor, we generally barcode manually with QR codes that match the metric tag. And a lot of times we're using product like labels for the floor that are metric tags, but they're not blue or photocopies of the actual tag because those are like inconvenient and large. And I just wanted to like make sure like if you guys are reconsidering things or like trying to put things into rules that like, I don't think that the big layout of the barcode really matters. I think that the barcode matching the correct blue tag for inventory and tracking purposes is the important part. And that's actually an easier way for us to maintain the integrity of the packages through like the life in case they get separated or mixed up. It's like you can actually just scan the unit and see which tag it goes to. But just while you guys are reconsidering or trying to put things into writing, I wanted to make that comment.
Thank you.
Yeah, we do that too.
We put our own QR code on, actually, so that's what the number is, the testing and the other parts. So.
He saves us the way figures.
Oh, and actually in that regard, does anybody use the RFID portion? I know you guys mentioned it doesn't actually work in the field for a lot of the grows. Is there a scenario where people actually use that portion of the metric tags? Because my understanding was there's not in most of the states. And in that regard, I think it kind of doesn't make sense for us to be paying a third party out of Florida for every single package that we create when we could just be generating and printing these barcodes out of the system. Even Metric now offers the ability to print these tags and codes without having to order them from a third party. So I think when you guys are talking to the rule makers, like, and talking about what makes sense, we're wasting a bunch of money and shipping it out to nobody for no reason, essentially, just for this little RFID feature. So I want to make sure I put that into the comment space as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I just wanted to let people know, we have about 30 minutes left and we still have quite a few agenda items. So I just wanted to kind of flag that for everybody.
Yeah.
This is great discussion, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great, and then we have two more comments that I see, so Jason, and then we have one more on my.
Yeah, there's one.
Yeah, so Jason, you want first, and then we'll do that.
Okay, just really quick, if we're talking about package tags, is one problem, and this might be a metric thing. I don't know how ingrained you guys are with the creating the programming for metric, but I will cut more clones than I use. And then I've also recently been selling clones to dispensaries like in spring usually, which is coming up here. I remember this is from last year. So if I have 5 clones left over from a batch that I flowered myself in from 2 batches, and I want to sell them. I have 5 left over in 2 separate packages. Can I merge those together to make a sale of one? To make those, even though they're labeled as a separate cloning batch. I don't know if that makes sense. I take clone batch A and clone batch B. I use 8 out of 10 of one and 8 out of 10 of the other, and that gives me 4 of these together so that I can put those together in one package tag to sell it to a dispensary instead of having 2 separate invoices for that. If that's clear, or I can clear up later as well.
No, that's clear.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that's a good example of a question. I mean, we'll obviously bring it back and we can come back with answers or put out a notice if we need to. But that's a good example of a time when it would be helpful to reach out to the CTS team here at OLCC. And so they have an email address. I'm sure most of you guys have used it.
Okay.
And so that's a nice way to get OLCC involved at that level because they work in the programs all the time.
Okay.
And so they can help. And if it's something that isn't possible, then they can like bring it up so that they'll bring it to Mark and he would find out about it and he would tell Melanie about it and so on and so forth.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other person has their hand up online.
Yeah, Colin.
Hi, it's Colin. I just wanted to comment on something Jackson said. I thought that was really thoughtful. But I also want to point out that it's very clear, we have evidence that when you do something that logically makes sense to save money, that Metric will not pass that savings along to the licensee. All you have to do is look at the use of batch plant tags as your key example as to why that won't actually save us money. And I can think of many use cases for RFID to be on package tags, but 0 for plant tags. So I would not want to see RFID taken away from the actual package tags. I think every licensee can use them. Whether or not they do is their choice, but I wouldn't want to have it taken away because I use it, and I've used it at 3 different businesses so far, and I think it's a really good thing to have. And I don't think they're going to save money if we take it away.
Thank you. I'm gonna move on.
Jackson has his hand up.
Sorry.
And Jackson.
Thanks, Amanda.
Well, you could still order RFID tags, but I don't see a reason to require them if you're not using them.
Just wanted to clarify, the context of the question was, can we track this? And it sounded like we were describing it like an Apple Air tag, and I was trying to point out that it's RFID, it doesn't operate that way. So it wasn't that we just don't use it. It was just that sometimes it's not as accurate, like it's subject to interference and things like that. So that's really what it.
But we do use them. I mean, we have readers and it helps us, like, when there's, thousands of things that we need to like follow up on and inventory, and it helps us and it's out in the field to be able to help reconcile and make sure everything matches up. So it is very useful. And we do use them.
Okay, I'm gonna move on now to our next agenda topic, which is waste event. So when this was brought up, I think it was, and the context for this was the idea about having, the rule is talking about holding it for 3 days under camera coverage, and there's certain ones, I think this was brought up in the retail context of smaller amounts of items, or certain ones that you don't want to hold for 3 days, like a cartridge or something like that, and would there be some ability to change that? So what, and that was just the one we were thinking of, what are you guys looking for in terms of any changes or modifications to waste events? And is it particular to a certain license type or certain item?
I mean, I understand why you want to do that. You want to have it on camera, but holding a plant that has aphids or hop latent viroid in our grow is, like, I think you would agree with me. We want it out of there as fast as possible. But and so any way that you guys feel comfortable letting us get stuff away or out, even if it's like destruction on camera, emailed immediately to the OLCC, like there's just certain scenarios when you just like, if there's I do it in consults all the time. It's like, we have to get this out, and we end up doing the biggest garbage bag we can and then tying them and just leaving them there on camera. But it's a risk. It's a vector to infect the rest of your entire and you can easily get recurring explosions of pests and things like that. So
I don't know, I mean, I agree, but I guess the solution is just put your dumpster by, or your trash can by a camera outside, right? Cause like, where are you gonna ultimately take it? To the trash, right? Or
a burn pile, usually in like EFU zone stuff.
But okay, then either way, it's like, okay, so your burn pile is put a camera to the burn pile. You know what I mean? Like, I guess it seems like it's good.
Like our Wi-Fi is not, it's like not doable a lot of times on farms, like, or like rural land.
I don't know. I mean, I don't even know how often they check for that. Like, how often do they check to see if your rotten plants are on camera for 3 days? You know what I mean? Like, how often are they?
Yeah, I mean, I just, especially, I just do what they want,
Yeah, and so, so that's how, it's just.
There's actually a solution to that.
Just hold on one moment, please, Jim. I think it's Jim speaking. Just hold on a moment.
Sorry, okay, and then you had your hand raised, yeah.
So I was from the same, what we were just talking about, the retail holding the inventory. Maybe the OLCC could produce us a slip that us retailers could use that say it's a return cartridge, because ours is the return cartridge all day long from the consumers. Can't resell them, you only can get credit from who gave them to you. So they sit in the store, who knows how long, sometimes 2 or 3 months, which clogs up all these ones in your inventory.
Are you wanting to be able to get rid of those sooner, or what are you asking?
Just holding in the metric inventory when you're thinking about inventory and how to make it easier on the retailer. If you have 10 returns in a month of 10 different people that are producing different cartridges, that's a lot of returns, but you can't get rid of them until they never really want them back. We normally dispose of them in the cat litter, like we've been told to do.
You have to report them as waste.
You have to put them back in the system, and they're as a +1 in your system because they're on site. So they have to be sitting there in your system as a +1 because it's considered inventory.
Okay.
So that's where I think, this was
cartridge
maybe 12 years ago or whatever, but
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say that nobody's gonna be using it after it's returned. It's not even smokable.
And then I think that someone online wanted to speak.
Yeah, we had Jim.
Oh, yeah, regarding the waste and plants, We had a modification to our location that you guys approved, where we put a metal building, it's just a little like a metal shed with under camera in the front of our building for waste. And I agree with the same, it is an issue, particularly with pests when you're growing, and also like powdery mildew after harvest, and you have the waste material, which is mostly the branches, can still harbor a lot of problems. And so we have this metal building out there as a lock on, it's under the camera, and you guys approved it. We just modified our plan. And that has helped us a lot. And that came about for us during the aspergillus period. We just were worried about it. And my background, having been in the medical industry, working in surgery a lot, is, you know, if it's in the environment, whether you put it in a plastic bag or not, it's in the environment. It should be taken off of the premises, not completely, but out of the metal building that you're working in, put into another building outside. And if the waste escapes there, it doesn't matter. It's just for that, but you can always see it under camera, and it's identified in our, metric system that we have that building.
Thank you. Yeah. And then I have
Yeah.
another.
Yeah, and for the retailer, there is, quite a labor in documentation indicating that, when I sit down to do these destruction events, and I have to do them, even some of my buyers and other people in the organization don't really fully comprehend. It's fairly simple, but it is. This product went into the bin on this day. We can take it out 3 days from now, business days, which I learned about a year or two into it. And then 3 days or later, I'll get back in there and go, okay, time to do the destruction events. And it is pulled this out, destroyed this, and then we actually adjust it into metric. But that whole time it does need to remain in metric on account of it is on the premises. And when you're doing, she's not kidding, 40, 100 a month, that can be quite a bit of man hours to just say, hey, I got this broken thing. And if the concern is, again, diversion, we're talking about a broken product. We're talking about things that are now so cheap. There was a time when a cartridge was $40, $60 plus, and for people to get into your trash, dig out the oil, I don't know that anybody's doing any of that, and they're definitely not sending broken cartridges to another state, as far as I understand. So that's where I would do that.
Is it mainly for retailers, and what I'm hearing is that the cartridge is the big issue in terms of the waste?
99% of
Okay.
returns. We might get a moldy food product once every 3-5 months. There might be something weird in some weed twice a year. But it is a constant
Of having to destroy those.
exchange.
Okay.
Cartridges.
Right,
Okay.
it's not it's the cartridge.
The cartridge, okay. Anything else on the waste of about wasting that we should know about, any changes you guys are talking that we want to see?
I guess to give the solution would be, it's broken, can we just break it right there and notate it once and throw it away?
Okay. Specifically for the cartridges,
For
though.
me, it's the documentation
Okay,
after the
got it.
while.
And on the, like, I understand that there's waste events at other locations other than retailer, but you're talking at the retailer.
Specifically, and then there's, well, I'll throw out one more third crazy wrinkle. This is to be destroyed with these all-in-one products, which are a battery within. I went and did the destruction of it. That thing started getting hot and melting the plastic. So maybe this could be a return to vendor, a bucket, or just fill it with something. But I was doing it the old school way, which was to hammer it down and throw it in soil. And all of a sudden this thing's getting hot because the battery is crossed, and the battery still works. It's just the other mechanics in there. And so in my notes, I put dropped into the recycle bin for the our person that does the recycling, and they'll take it apart and get the product, to where it goes and the pieces that are reusable.
It's the marijuana that uses the mechanism of, the cartridges or the all-in-ones is what they call it, yeah.
Anything else on waste event anyone wants to comment on? There was also from the last listening session, I note about, something about immature plant limits. Does that come familiar to anybody about that piece about having?
Oh, the batches are capped at 100?
Yes,
Yeah, it should be way more.
okay. What, if you would say, wait, what's your number?
500
Okay.
Are
Thank
you
you.
indoor or outdoor?
indoor.
Outdoor, it's a lot more than that.
Okay. And what,
Yeah, so then I'm just saying 500 for indoor.
and why are you saying, can you tell me why you say 500? so we can understand?
Oh, because I mean, like, say a room holds, for sake of simple, say a room holds 250 plants, and you wanna make 100% extra, that way you can choose healthy cuts, then you would have a batch of 500. So why do you need to have 5 different batches?
And Amanda has her hand up.
So then magnify that, having thousands for outdoor.
Thank
Amanda.
you. We actually thought as Farms Inc. back in the day that we had gotten this fixed. The reason why you don't, we would be asking to not have 100 plant batch tag, immature plant batches is when you guys eliminated the requirement to say each individual mother plant that you took the clones from, and we could just group them together. Now, if we're taking 500 clones of one strain, we have to say all on the same day. You have to say the date, the strain, and then group 1, the date, the strain, group 2, the date, the strain, group 3, where we could just be taking those clones all in one day and they could become one immature batch from the same strain.
And Amanda, are you outdoor?
Outdoor, yeah. Well, both actually. We do all of it. The reason is really it has less to do with the type of growing that you do and more to do when you're taking clones. Because if you're taking them all in the same day and you require date and you're doing them at 100, if I'm taking 500 in the same day of the same strain, why does it need to be group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4? It makes it really confusing when you're also transferring plants to other farms to have them in such different groups of the same strain where they could just be in one immature plant batch of the strain of how many you took in that day.
Okay. Thanks, Amanda. Anybody else have anything on this?
I think also, I forget her name, Miss Nelson, maybe from Capricorn. I think she brought that up. Just having a nursery that they could use single batches. So I asked her, but I just want to speak.
Okay.
I remember it being a pretty good point.
Yeah, so what I heard Amanda saying is there's essentially 500, but she's doing 100 of group 1, 100 of group 2. 5 seems to be the example, up to 500, but it's the same exact thing.
Yeah, it's just you're spending
Yeah.
more on tags, and it's just now you have 25% of your metric screen taken up, and
Yeah.
It's kind of more work for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, inspectors too,
Mhm.
right? You could count.
It
500
takes them
one
more
thing.
lines to look at on the computer, it's just everything, it's just
Yeah,
so ways.
500 of one thing versus 100 of 5 things.
Limit should be like 1,000, probably should, because that's probably when it changes the button.
When you change the button, you said?
Yeah, when
Okay.
they will still change,
Or,
go past 4 digits.
So are we talking about the tags itself, like the group, like the batch tagging for the group 1?
No.
No, just take close, just make immature tags,
Gotcha.
there is no
Alright.
tag involved. You just in metric, you take a mother plant and you create plantings. And so every time you get to 100, you have to make a new batch, but if it's all the same batch, if you're making it, so say you have,
Yeah, I get where
Yeah.
you're, I just wanted to make sure that.
Are limits part of the rule, or is that metrics?
No, it's cool.
It's a rule.
Amanda, did you have something else to add?
I did. I was actually just going to say that it's rule because I actually thought we got this fixed and got a little bit of a scolding to say that that wasn't fixed. And so there is no issue in metric to have it be more than 100. It's just in rule, like it allows you.
Yeah, that's correct.
think there anything else in the immature plan? Appreciate all your comments on that, helpful. Okay, moving along here, we have about a little under 15 minutes to go. I have my clock right here, so. This is something that I don't know if it really.
We have another hour.
Yeah.
Oh. Nobody change that clock.
Oh, you got us on a tech.
I wasn't even looking at the hour. I was not even looking at the hour, and I was just looking at the minute hand. Good one, yeah. Paying attention to detail. So this is not something we addressed so much specifically at the last listening session, but of course it's we talked about a lot the concerns about diversion that's happening. That's something that obviously OLCC we're very concerned about. I'm sure you guys are all concerned about that. You want people in your industry doing that. As we look at some of the statutes or rules that are centered around diversion, I think it's important to hear from you all if we're going to think about trying to ask for any changes. What are some ways that you think we could change statutes or rules to better address this? problem.
I think you could allow producers to sell at least a portion, maybe like up to 50% of their harvest directly to consumers. And I think that would prevent a lot of diversion.
Can you tell me how?
Yeah, just because it gives them access to like, to sell their product, and maybe that might be the difference in keeping the lights on and not, while also shopping out their region dispensaries. Yeah.
And can I cut in real quick on that one?
Yeah.
So I just want to be very clear, that would be a statutory change, just so we're all aware of that.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Did you have your hand? Did somebody else have a hand?
Well, I was to that, just, I think it would be similar to, I live in wine country and the small business aspect of that, I think a lot of times people, when they think about direct sales or something, they think about a, Grateful Dead concert happening inside of a small room or something, but it's really like a tasting room for wine, which we see I get people asking me all the time, if on Reddit or Instagram, can we come to your farm and purchase product? And I'm like, you cannot, yeah, and they almost always, one comment even said, well, just get it at this place and then go to a park. So that's more than diversion, but,
Yeah.
but direct sales would help people sell and it would be an incentive too.
There's a lot of people that want to support a grower and would love to just go direct. And just, I mean, it's no mystery that the backbone of this industry is upheld by the growers giving dispensaries terms. Like if none of us gave dispensaries terms, a lot of dispensaries wouldn't exist. So, I mean, like,
Yeah.
My point was the COD part of it, or at least the protection of debt, because most people have gone under or have to do some other something because they're not getting paid for what's already been sold by a retail. It's been a decade-long imbalance that has caused, as you all know, just the turnover in our industry to be what it is. Retail holds the leverage and you get a lot of diversion or you get a lot of black market because retail doesn't pay on time, doesn't allow for.
Retail's not serving it, it's not doing its job.
But I think big diversion, the reason why there is hemp products out there that are in other places or a lot of others, if people can go and deliver those to a mailbox and they can do that from their farm or from their processing thing that's on the boondocks, it's not regulated. The biggest diversion comes from regulated people not getting paid and having to, again, we don't get bankruptcy, so it goes personally to us. They'll take our home or our cars or everything else. Having one side that gets paid and all the rest of the license and don't creates a real bad situation when you have diversion. That's a big part of what our industry is versus other industries, other places, whether it's here, whether it's the EU, which again, South America, where we have companies, it doesn't exist like this. So it's really a matter of our state is the sticky wicket is always put out there because you have one side leveraging 3/4 of the licenses. 600 licenses leverage however many there are now, 3,000 plus or something else. It's the largest.
So
the largest part.
I want to come back to what you said here, but make sure we can hear from everybody. Yeah.
I would say from when we started 13 years ago, when we went recreational, they went to kill the black market. I would say, I think from weed being $3 in a recreational store, I started my store off at 7 a gram and it's $3 a gram. So the best way to stop diversion is to start letting us interstate. That's the only way that's diversion is going to stop. Well, there'll be so much coming from Oregon because everybody wants Oregon's stuff. I mean, that's when it's going to stop.
And that would be even bigger. That's not even like a statutory change to do it. That's a federal level issue, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We have two people.
What's attainable is letting producers sell their product, at least up to say up to half. I think should just be 100%, but
And I want to go get the couple people online that have their hands raised too.
Yep, so we have Jackson first.
Hi. So as far as like ways to reduce diversion, and I think also maybe like lessen some of like the bottleneck issues, like something that's been addressed once, but like not in a real logical manner is like purchase limits. And I think especially as like the price of cannabis has fallen and you see tons of, ounce specials kind of like flooding the market, even with the 2-ounce limit, people run into their limit all the time. They pick up 2 ounces and then they want to get some pre-rolls, but they have to like bring a friend with them or like come back the next day, or they can just go 1,000 feet and get the exact same purchase amount again and again throughout the city. So it's like the limits don't really effectively limit how much the consumer can purchase. They just make it inconvenient for them. So like kind of understanding where that comes in, and also like putting some logic to some of the amounts overall. Like most of the purchase limits don't make sense. Like the liquid edibles, you know, having beverages be larger so you don't get to buy as many doesn't really make sense. And just from like a safety perspective, we're like really counting these like low milligram sodas, but meanwhile you can just like go pick up a bottle of Everclear at the liquor store with like no child safety top at all. So it's like, you know, what are we really trying to do? What are we trying to accomplish? If we're trying to keep everything in the system and tracked and taxed, increasing the purchase limit so that people don't have to find workarounds or different ways to get their products makes the most sense to keep it in the supply. And then as far as also like people have commented, like there is actually a big resurgence in the legacy market right now. And I think alleviating some of the ways that retailers can meet the demands of customers, like how much they're able to buy, the way that people purchase on the legacy market and in the retailers is different in the amounts. So like you're competing at price points and volumes that like you can't even sell a consumer the amount that they're hoping to purchase. And so you're not able to like meet those volume discounts either. And then the last thing on like alleviating supply but keeping it all tracked would be considering once or twice a year to have a tax holiday, because the taxes are really what like hold up consumers and like the supply in a lot of instances. So like being able to like reduce that burden of the tax to the consumer and like get it out the door at the price that like the retailers and the suppliers are agreeing to versus like the extra 20%, I think would in a few instances just generate like big sales booms that can, you know, help keep the issue of Oregon being able to have unlimited investors in cannabis and grows and stores, but we can only sell it to people here in the state. I think until we, you know, figure out the federal side, we've got to figure out ways to make it easier for people to purchase and keep the supply moving within the state.
Great, thank you, Jackson. And I just wanted to clarify this one too, that the daily sales limits are attached to personal possession limits that are in statute. So we have them set so that a consumer can't go into a store and unknowingly buy more than they're allowed to have on their person in public. So that's kind of why they're set the way they are, just so we're clear there. We had Tucker wanted to give a comment.
Yes, thank you so much. Right now there is a competing hemp market that is allowed by OLCC rule to have upwards of 20 milligrams per container for an edible of THC. And I believe that's similar for a drink. And so there are THC products that are being sold in gas stations and grocery stores, and many other locations that are THC products, but are not OLCC regulated or recreational adult use regulated products. So that's a big problem, and that's a competing market to this industry, which will eventually lead to harder times for this industry, diversion, and even maybe products going to that marketplace instead. So that's a big problem that I know is still relatively new because that just came out of the newest rulemaking, but a problem in and of itself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me do Marissa and then we'll do the other
Okay.
person right here.
I guess I'm interested also of like, what is the challenge from your perspective related to diversion? Like, is there a problem that you are looking to solve? I'm wondering what that is.
I can finish up with that if we go to the person.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Patrick.
Yeah, hi. My name's Patrick. I run P3 Distributing. We deal with waste. I deal with packaging waste in dispensaries. I personally believe that a lot of diversion happens due to waste product. And I believe that the OLCC should work with me to set up a system to deal with waste. For example, farm waste. You know, they have to hold it for 3 days under camera, but who's weighing it? who's proving that it's actually the product that's going into the waste stream. I think that we have an opportunity to prevent diversion through the waste stream. And I'm just here to offer myself up for you guys to answer my emails and try to do something about it. I've already created a potential system to collect waste. And I think it would really help with diversion. I think it's something you guys should consider. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. And there's one more hand online too.
Gwen?
Hi, everybody. I work for a dispensary, also a CBD dispensary, and we also do patient OMMP cards. I just want to say thank you, everybody. But for some of the diversion stuff with limits, I get all the time from my customers. I need more than, the 2 ounces. That's great. When you get your med card, then you're able to get 8 at a time, which is wonderful. But like they're saying, I have customers that want to go direct to the farm because they want to see, hey, can I buy that pound of, THC now versus I'm able to sell, only a few ounces. So that would be a big, I think awesome for not only for our medical patients to be able to do, but also for our growers, so that they get the more of that direct revenue as well. Like, trust me, like we'll want to sell more, but at the same time, hey, if you could go to a grower's, place and then say, hey, now I'm going to buy a pound, customers would love that. That's, would be very, very beneficial for everybody, I think.
No, it would.
Jason, did you have your hand?
Yeah, I was just gonna say really quickly about diversion. I do consulting and license sales as a side hustle. And it seems like there's just a never ending revolving door of licensing for sale and going out of business sales. People who are desperate are probably gonna maybe make choices that I can't speak, but I'm sure you understand that. But I just think incentivizing, tearing down or starting small, not forcing people to in rule or anything, but just helping people make the decision to be, let's, start small and be profitable and grow organically. Always grow organically.
Yeah, and I think like in terms of OLCC, our concern is obviously diversion. We want to keep product in the recreational marijuana market. We're hearing and we do work closely with law enforcement that do find from our licensees that product is unmarked in a vehicle heading out of state. And so, ensuring that there's tools in place that when we go to a location that the product is accounted for, that's why we're having these discussions is how can we help you all make sure that you are in compliance and that it's, easy for us to be able to visually see that. So, the concern with diversion is keeping product in the rec market, making sure it's not going out the door to the unlawful market or out of state.
I mean, I think if you really want to prevent diversion, just look at the transfers, look at the licensees that are producers that only transfer to a processor and then it disappears. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the main diversion is coming from licensees that don't have sales.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So,
I do.
because like everyone in this room is kind of like, everyone in this room is already playing. Okay, we're trying to already be, you know what I mean? Like, you can go and find our brand, or you can see our store, or it's everything. Everyone has receipts, but
Okay, you can say what, you can finish one thing, then we have to wrap up, okay?
Okay. Yes. I mean, if you have ideas about how to find it, I mean, I have a lot of ideas. That we would be.
You know what I mean? Like,
Not here.
Yeah, understood, yeah.
Yeah. And we want it gone too, but I think ultimately the
it
problem
hurts
is
everything.
we have a lot more capacity than we have appetite in Oregon. Right?
Yeah.
And that encourages the desperation that Jason is talking about. And then that people make decisions to do that instead.
It almost incentivizes people creating their own, doom.
Yeah.
And we do have to wrap, I'm sorry for everyone on that, we do have to wrap up now, we're past our 3 o'clock time period, but thank you all, I appreciate it. If the ones that didn't get to see them, if you want to just email us a comment, we'd be happy to take that. I didn't get to say piece of it, but there are some parts that are in statute that were talked about the last time, like you're saying this cash on delivery, consumption lounges, those would all need to be addressed in statute, and they also have other kind of competing issues as well too, so just know that we recognize that, and I did want to spend a large chunk of time today, but we spent our time on things that could be changed in rules, so that's why we spent a lot at the beginning on that part. So appreciate everybody here and everyone online sharing, but I'm sorry, we do have to end at 3 right now, so. Thank you, but we'll be here afterwards if anyone wants to.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.